If you grew up with a narcissistic mother, chances are you ended up in these relationships again and again. Friends, boyfriends, eventually a husband. It feels cruel. You were not given love and safety in childhood. And as an adult, you keep repeating this pattern of getting tricked, used, broken down, without getting anything in return. The thing is, this is not a coincidence. I'm Emma, a medical doctor and a survivor of narcissistic abuse. Let's talk about how your narcissistic mother primed you for toxic love, and about how you can break this pattern. In most families, the mother is the main caregiver, the primary caregiver as it's called. Even though fathers' roles are shifting in modern society, still, in most cases, it is the mother who spends the most time with the child during the early years and who has the deepest impact on the emotional blueprint of the child. A narcissistic father can cause damage, but a narcissistic mother, she not only causes damage, but she programs you. Not just because of what she withholds, but the damage lies in what she trains you to become. What does a narcissistic mother look like? She may not scream all the time, but she is deeply self-absorbed. She lacks empathy. She divides siblings into favorites and scapegoats. Her moods dominate the household. She may explode in rage and then pretend that nothing happened. She uses love like a reward for obedience, for silence. She punishes with the silent treatment. She invades your privacy. And when you ask, "What did I do wrong?" she doesn't tell you, because it's not about what you did. It's about how she feels. You were taught to serve the emotional needs of a volatile person, absorb her anger, soften her ego, suppress your own needs. In a narcissistic family, the whole family dynamic, it orbits around her. You earn appreciation by performing your role, and even then it's rare and unpredictable. You loved your mother. You wanted her to be happy. You wanted to win her love. And when you did manage to please her, even for a moment, it suddenly felt like now everything is okay. But it only lasted for a short while. If you manage to grow up without becoming narcissistic, copying her behavior, chances are you instead became over-empathic. You sense others' emotions instantly. You adjust your behavior to keep the important people happy. You're careful not to rock the boat. You make everyone else feel safe, even though you're feeling unsafe yourself. This pattern is not a conscious choice. It's the relationship pattern that you were taught and that you keep repeating. So this is the way that you think that other people expect you to behave in a relationship. And when someone likes you or praises you, it feels amazing, because deep down you're still searching for that love and appreciation that you never managed to get from her. This is what people mean when they say narcissist magnets. Narcissists, of course, like this type of person who are able to read their needs and meet them without them having to make a lot of effort into programming the person, because they're already primed, so to speak. But chances are that you also feel more comfortable in a narcissistic relationship. Let me explain. When I was a young girl and started to become an independent person on my own in adolescence, I wasn't comfortable with having the focus on me. Wasn't comfortable with expressing any needs or desires. It felt much more natural when I met someone who would just lead the way and show me what they wanted, because that I could handle. So that was a person that I could make happy and that could appreciate me. But I didn't know how to be vulnerable or be open in a relationship, because as a child, showing vulnerability when your parent is a bully and will jump on any vulnerability is very dangerous. Perhaps you recognize this. You are not allowed to express any opposing opinions, or when the parent decides something, you just follow along. You don't say, but I don't want to do that, because that would be unsafe. That would put you, that would make you the target of their attack. So it still feels safe to be with the kind of person who just takes the lead. And this is what happened. So I ended up in a narcissistic relationship as my first real relationship. And I've heard this repeated so many times in other survivors. When I got into that relationship, I already knew the moves. I knew how to calm someone's anger down. And I knew how to walk on eggshells. And I knew how to move on after an argument without talking about it and without talking about our feelings. That wasn't something that we did in the family that I was brought up in either. And I thought this was love, because it was the only type of love that I had ever known. Now, in my case, I also had a father, and he is not narcissistic. He's a very generous and gentle man, and he was a police officer when he was younger, and then he studied to become a lawyer. I have deep respect for my father, but he was also brought up in a family where they didn't speak about feelings, and I don't think he felt comfortable with that. So we sort of, when something would happen in the family, it was our mother who decided who's in and who's out and what are we going to do, and we just followed along. Humans are creatures of habit. So what is familiar feels safe, even if it's toxic. Often it is pain that triggers us to see that this is dysfunctional and we want to make a change. But even then, how do you change into something that you have never seen? Here's a lesson that we can take from narcissists. Narcissism is rising in the world. More and more people are choosing or being raised into choosing to embrace selfishness, manipulation, lying, valuing appearance over the deeper things in life. We are sold this way as powerful, it's cool, or it's spirituality. Some call it alpha males or soft girls or goddesses. We live in a culture of takers. Estimates vary, but Researchers think that between 5 and 10% of the population are high in narcissistic traits. But because narcissists often juggle multiple partners and relationships, a higher number than 5 or 10% in the population has been closely affected by narcissism. But there is, in fact, one thing that we can learn from them. Narcissists copy behaviors. They mimic connection, and so can we. But instead, we can copy healthy relationships. Narcissists scan for valuable traits in others, like independence, empathy, reliability. We can do the same, but with no malintentions. We're looking for people who build, not break. First, you have to build your own foundation, your boundaries, your ability to say no, your ability to say what you want, and self-respect. And then you can take that budding self into the world and begin to practice in different relationships, work environment, friends, and eventually, if you want it, romantic partner. You don't disappear into others, you don't twist yourself to please, and you stay rooted in yourself. It will feel weird at first. It's like learning a new dance, but you will learn. When you interact with others, make sure that you're also having a good time, not only that they are comfortable. Express your thoughts. Be interested in, but not responsible for, other people's emotions. And when you meet someone new, observe them. Are they honest? Are they able to self-reflect? Do they respect others? Do they respect you and your boundaries? Do they listen? If so, train yourself to stay. If not, train yourself to walk away. You're not just healing yourself, you are creating a new legacy. Let's be clear, parenting is the hardest job in the world. It happens on no sleep, during migraines, after being yelled at by your boss, when your bank account is empty, and you're still responsible for a small human life. All parents make mistakes. Even good ones sometimes raise their voices, shut down, or use toxic tactics out of desperation. But here's the truth. Children don't need perfect parents. They need good enough parents. Research shows that meeting your child's emotional needs about 30% of the time, while making repairs when you fall short, is enough to raise a securely attached child. So if you're showing up, listening, and are willing to grow, you're already breaking the cycle. You are learning a new way of interacting with others that you can pass on to your children. That is what's called a generational curse breaker or a generational cycle breaker. You didn't get a healthy model, but you are becoming one. You are needed. Your love, your insight, your creativity, it matters. The world has too much hate and envy and destruction. We are the ones choosing the other path, the path of truth, light, and care. We no longer serve that which destroys. That was your first life, a life spent in survival. But after waking up to this reality, you get a second life, and in that life you get to choose. If this resonated, I invite you to watch my playlist on raising healthy children, because your healing echoes forward. I'm Emma, holding up a light over the bridge. See you in the next video.